I'm going to start with a fairly transparent and manufactured analogy, so go with me here. I'm going to try this. Excuse me, Caroline, if I were to approach you off the street and say, hey, could I borrow your car? Are you going to give it to me? No. No. Oh, totally rejected. I just bombed right there. Moj. Who I know Moj. Moj, can I borrow your car? At lunch I got to go pick up something. Okay, now my personal conflicts are interfering with my analogy. I'm gonna like ignore Moj. I'm gonna go with Paul, someone else that I know. Paul, can I borrow your car? I just need really quick. Sure, yeah. Okay, great. So, again, it's very transparent. Right. Why did Caroline not give me her car, and Paul did give me a car? We're not going to ignore Moj. It's different issues. But then why did Paul? Because Paul trusts me, right? Trust is the key to opportunity, especially when there's a lot of money on the line. And this is why large organizations are usually fearful. It's not because they're mean people, or it's not because they fundamentally disagree with social media. It's because there's a huge cost, risk, there's a web of interests and issues that they have to understand and respect, and so they really need to trust you. Policies and guidelines are one of the tools that you have available to generate the trust so that you can build the opportunity, so you can really get your hands dirty and do some crazy stuff within companies, no matter how conservative they can appear on the outside. So really quick, a policy and guideline. It is often perceived as a list of things that we can't do. Well, thou shalt do this, thou maybe could do that if this and that is taken care of first. It's very restrictive. Usually we think of policies as, they're documents that very, very formal. What I'm going to propose is that for introducing social media and that opportunity within large organizations, see the policies and guidelines as a process. And there's a beauty to the process that we'll come to at the end. The process involves, it's an opportunity to get out and talk to the other stakeholders within your organization. Find out who it is. No matter how much of a social butterfly you think you are, there will be people in little clusters in the company or government, wherever you are, that you might not know. Talk to them. What better icebreaker than I'm putting together because policies and guidelines sounds very, yeah, I'll buy into that. No one will buy into a social media program, but they'll buy into the policies that are gonna mandate how it's used. You're gonna get everyone's buy-in. Another really important part of that, you are making them part of the narrative. Narrative is really important. It's make them part of the story. Like as a company, as an organization, we are gonna be going on this journey. And by engaging them early, you make them a part of that. So they are your allies. They are not seeing it as your initiative versus something that they would like to see done. After you start meeting with people, it gives you a chance to strategize for yourself. Policies and guidelines are a great way to think through, well, truthfully, what are we going to do? What are we intending to get out of this? When this kind of situation happens, what's going to be our resolution? It's a great chance to talk through that. I had a couple, yeah. Like I say, it's not quite as formal as some sessions. It's a great chance. Policies and guidelines are a great chance to promote what you're doing. This is where you get to sit down when you're meeting with people. You get to promote what you're doing. Explain social media. You can use the policy and guideline. Look, we're putting this together so that the regulators are happy. But then when you get that face time with the executive or with the IT person, this is what we're hoping to do. And if you have a good idea and you can back it up with things like numbers, you're going to get their buy-in. And if you don't, then you have to question, well, do we have the right, like, are we really approaching this the right way? Maybe we have to alter the way we're going forward with it. There's something we didn't think of. And that's what I'm going to identify as maybe the last kind of big picture piece to a policy and guideline. It's a great chance to learn what is going to be really important for a successful, in this case, social media initiative within an organization. You might go in thinking that social networking is the #1 thing that you want to be doing because Facebook is big. You see young generations coming in and they live it, they breathe it. You want your HR recruitment teams to be really tapping into that. You might find out that your #1 issue is in fact related to document management or knowledge management or something that is equally based on building relationships between team members, but might be very different from what you initially thought. So it's a great way to be talking to people and learning what they're looking for. So the last piece, and this is the beauty of policies and guidelines, is at the end of all this, at the end of building a narrative, finding new people to talk to, learning what they do, learning about the company, improving yourself and your program, working through your strategy, you get something tangible at the end. Being tangible is really important, and it can be the weight of paper that you thump down on an executive's desk. You say, look, people love this, right? It's policies, guidelines, tangible, numbers. You can think, wow, this is now the language of the stakeholders that you really need to buy the support of, while the whole time what you've been doing is been playing in the sandbox with anyone you wanted to in the organization. It's a win-win. You should always have fun doing it. So you get this tangible document. This can, it can be a PDF. Oh, and we restricted copy access, and oh, this thing is digitally signed, and right, all the great language that people love here. It can be a printout. You can take it to your CEO or whomever and sign on this. All right, we got the signature on the line. It's part of the narrative, and it's the Hollywood ending, right? It's part of that conclusion. Really important thing to have. Obviously, to launch a social media initiative within a company, there's a lot of other pieces. There's the infrastructure, there's the technologies, although again, I would downplay those. Start small, start cheap. There's a lot of other issues, but again, for the limited time we have, I really would like to encourage people to try the route of building a set of policies and guidelines as appropriate for your organization, and go through those steps and see it as a journey to get that buy-in from everybody and launch something. With those guidelines, you have the trust, because people can see tangibly you've engaged, you've thought through the issues. With that trust comes opportunity. And with that opportunity, as the tagline says, they're going to give you the keys to the coolest car in the garage. Because personally, I love working with social media in a huge organization, because you get to be really innovative and provocative while at the same time keeping your job. So that's it. That's my thing. Any questions? Here.
I guess it's more of a comment. It sounds like going through this process, creating a policy surrounding using social media would make it more like it puts the vision out there, rather than say a smaller company who says, oh, let's just start doing it. They might, they're still experimenting and going back and forth between what works and what doesn't. When you kind of build up that stuff in advance, it sounds like you'd have more of an opportunity to kind of have something solid that says, this is what we're going to use it for, these are the outcomes. In that case, that could help even smaller companies, I guess.
Absolutely. If you need, there's nothing to say that one of the fundamental principles in your policy could be that 20% of our energy and time has to go into open innovation. 50% of your time needs going in. It's not about, again, restricting, but it's about putting on the table what it is we're doing. And it's from that transparency that trust comes in. And then, yeah, just make it appropriate to what you need or what you do.